Here are the week 3 solutions to our formative assignment, multiplying polynomials. So for the first couple of problems here, we've set these up for you already, or shown you a setup. Notice that we've put x plus 1 along the vertical line here and x plus 4 along the horizontal. Those can be switched. This commutative multiplying polynomials is commutative, just like multiplying whole numbers, so there's no set way to set these up as far as which binomial goes on which one of the lines here. So what I'm going to do is take this over to the algebra tiles and continue to do that problem. So we're going to use the corner piece background and then go to our algebra tiles, and just like was shown there, we're going to put x plus 1 along the vertical and x plus 4 along the horizontal. And then just do our multiplication by filling in this part of the mat. So this part of the mat will be our result always, and you will always get a rectangle when you fill this in. So if you don't have a complete rectangle, you're missing something there. Once you get that rectangle filled in, you'll look for 0 pairs if there are any. Take those out, and then what remains in this part of the mat will be your response then to the multiplication problem. So let's go ahead and fill this in. X times x is x squared, so I'm taking this x times this x, and notice that that area of x squared fits nicely in there with the same dimensions as x times x. Then we're going to take, sorry, that's wrong. Then we're going to take this 1 and multiply it by this x here. And so 1 times x is just x, and we're going to lay that sideways. So to get them to turn sideways, just double tap. Next, we're going to fill in this part of our rectangle. So I'm going to take this x times these 4 1s. Again, x times 1 is just x. So these 4 x tiles get placed right here. And lastly, I'm going to take these 4 unit tiles times this 1 up here. And 4 times 1 should give us 4. And that's what we get in here then. So now I've completed the rectangle. All of my tiles are positive, so I have no 0 pairs. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'm done. I'm going to screenshot it by hitting the home button and power at the same time, and then go back and import it into Notability by hitting the plus button up here, going to my photo library and adding the most recent. There's the result then. We can put it over under your algebra tiles there, and then write the result in the blank space up here. So we're going to write x squared for that x squared. Then we've got 5 x's. So we're going to say plus 5x. And we've got 4 1-unit tiles. So we're going to put plus 4 there. And that's all there is to it. Now, each time you do this with your algebra tiles, you should kind of double check to see if it makes sense. Remember that when you're multiplying polynomials, you have to multiply each thing in the first polynomial times each thing in the second polynomial. So I'm going to do this algebraically as well. So I'm going to take x times x. That gives me x squared. And then I'm going to take x times 4. And that gives me plus 4. Then I'm going to take the 1 times x. I'm sorry, that should be 4x. X times 4 is 4x. Then I'm going to take the 1 times the x, and I get 1x, or just x. And then I'm going to take the 1 times the 4, and I get plus 4. Now when I look at this 4x and x will combine to give me 5x. So I do have x squared plus 5x plus 4. So algebraically or with using the tiles, I get the same result. On the next one, we've set up the x minus 3 on the vertical line and the x plus 4 on the horizontal. So we'll do that the same way over in our algebra tiles website. So let's get rid of those. We need x minus 3 here, and then x plus 4 along the horizontal. So we'll fill in x times x is x squared. This time we have negative 3 here and x here. Each of these is going to be negative then. They're each going to be negative x terms because of the negative 1 we're multiplying it by. So we'll rotate them and make them negative. And then plop them in here. And then here we're going to take, for this area here, we're going to take this x and these 4 1s. So x times 1 is x times 1 is x, again and again, and we can just leave those positive. And for this part of the area model or the rectangle, we're going to put negative 3 times positive 4, so we're going to end up with 12 unit tiles. And since we're multiplying negative times a positive, we're going to get negative unit tiles here. So negative 3 times positive 4 will give me negative 12. And then once I've filled in my rectangle, I look for 0 pairs next. And so these negative x terms, tiles, will combine with these positive x tiles. So I'm going to make those 3 0 pairs go away. And now I'm down to x squared plus x minus 12. And so let's go over here. Oops, I forgot to screenshot. So I'm going to screenshot that, bring it over to Notability, add it from our photo library, and place it there. So I've got x squared plus x minus 12. And let's just take a look and see, is that what I get when I do it algebraically? I take x times x to give me x squared. X times 4 gives me plus 4x. Then I'm going to take the negative 3 times x, which gives me negative 3x. And the negative 3 times 4, which gives me a negative 12. And then these two terms here are like terms, so I can combine those, and I do get x squared plus 4 and negative 3 give me a positive 1x, and then minus 12. So I have x squared plus x minus 12, so it works out. Number 3, now we're setting up our own. So we have x plus 2 times x plus 3. So let's go over here. We'll set that up and get rid of our last problem there. So there's x plus 2 times x plus 3. Move your x squared tile in there because x times x is x squared. Now we'll put our tiles up above here that represent x times each of these 1s here. So double tap to turn them. And then we'll multiply this x times these 3 unit tiles. So that's just 3 positive x tiles. And then finally the 2 unit tiles times the 3 unit tiles will give me 6 unit tiles, and they're all positive. So again, we have everything positive here inside our response part of the mat, and so we're just going to leave that. We don't need to remove any 0 pairs. So we'll screenshot it, bring it over to Notability, go to our photo library and add that where it says your algebra tiles. And then up here in the blank, this x plus 2 times x plus 3, we're going to write x squared. And then we have 5x there, 5x tiles, and 6 unit tiles. So just to show that we've done that we've did our algebra tiles correctly, we'll do this using algebra. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. So that's x times each thing in the second term binomial. Then we'll take 2 times each thing in this second binomial or polynomial. So it's 2 times x, which is 2x, and 2 times 3, which is 6. So we have 3x plus 2x. Those are like terms, and I can combine those, but the x squared and the 6 just stay the same. And so we get the same result. So hopefully you're seeing the connections there between your tiles and how you would do this algebraically. The next one is 3x minus 3 times x minus 1. So it looks a little bit different. We'll get rid of these. X minus 1 down here, and 3x minus 3. We'll put that along the vertical. So it looks a little different than some of the other ones we've been doing, but we follow the same process. Fill in our x squareds. We're multiplying x times x in this part of our area rectangle here. Then we're going to take this x times these 3 negative unit tiles. So we're going to want 3 of these turned and made negative to go up here, because negative 1 times x is negative x. Then we're going to come down here and do our x times negative 1 there, this x times negative 1, this x times negative 1. So those are all going to give me negative x's, and I'll leave them the way they are. And then I'm going to take this negative 1 times these 3 negative 3's, and that's going to be giving me positive x tiles. This negative times a negative gives you a positive. So now I need to take out any 0 pairs, which I don't see any. So I'm just going to screenshot this and take it over to my Notability problem. Use the plus sign to add an image. Put it there under your algebra tiles, and we'll fill this in. So we have 3x squared, and then we have negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 x's. So minus 6x, or negative 6x, and then plus 3 is the last term. So we'll check it out using our algebra. So 3x times x is 3x squared, and 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. So that's this first term times each term in the second binomial. And I take negative 3 times x, which is negative 3x, and negative 3 times negative 1, which is positive 3. So again, I have 2 like terms that I can combine. The 3x squared stays the same, but negative 3x and negative 3x will give me a negative 6x, and then I have a positive 3. So looks like that's done okay. This next one doesn't show us the problem written out, but when you have x minus 3 and then that quantity is squared, you need to think about that as this whole thing multiplied by itself. So over on our algebra tiles website, we're gonna take x minus 3 times x minus 3, because that's what it means, x minus 3 squared. So we'll get rid of these ones and these two. So I have x minus 3 on this bar, and I'm going to put x minus 3 on the horizontal line. And so I'm multiplying something times itself, a binomial times itself. So I've got x times x is x squared. Then I'm going to do this x times, no, I'm going to do this x times these 3 units. So I'm going to need to change them all as far as their orientation and their sign. So that becomes negative 3x there. Then I'm going to take this x times these 3 negative ones. That will give me each of these negative x tiles. And then these 3 negative ones times these 3 negative ones will give me 3 times 3 or positive 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 or positive 9 tiles here. So I'm going to fill these in with positive tiles. And there are no 0 pairs in this one, so I'm ready to bring my result over to Notability. Use my plus sign here. Add in that image. And then write the result. So the result was x squared minus 6x and then plus 9. So let's just double check. X times x gives you the x squared. X times negative 3 gives you a negative 3x. This negative 3 times this x gives you a negative 3x. And this negative 3 times that negative 3 gives you a positive 9. So these two terms combined give you a negative 6x. So we have x squared minus 6x and then plus 9. So it checks out. With the last two, I think we should try multiplying them without the algebra tiles and then checking with our algebra tiles. So we'll start out doing it algebraically. So we have 2x times 3x. That's going to give us 6x squareds. And 2x times 3 will give us 6x. Then I'm going to take the negative 3 times 3x. That will give me a negative 9x. And the negative 3 times positive 3 will give me a negative 9. Next step here is to just combine these two middle terms that are alike. So bring down the 6x squared. 6x and negative 9x, 6 and negative 9 combine to give you a negative 3x and then minus 9. So in here I've got 6x squared minus 3x minus 9. And I want to double check that with my algebra tiles now. So I'm going to do 2x minus 3 times 3x plus 3. So here's 2x minus 3. And then 3x plus 3. So 3x plus 3. And then we need to get rid of what was in there from before. So now we have 2x minus 3 times 3x plus 3, and we'll put these x squared units in where we have x times x's. We kind of thought this would be 6x squared, and it looks like that fits. Then we'll do the x, these x's times these negative ones. Those are all going to give us negative x's. like that. And then we need to do these two x's times these three 1's over here. So these will all be positive x's. And then this part up here is the negative 3 times the positive 3. So that will be our negative 9. We'll need to change these to negatives since we're multiplying positive times negatives there. So there's our rectangle, our area rectangle. And this time we do have some zero pairs to deal with. We've got 6 positive x and 6 negative x we can combine. So let's move them all up here. And then we'll capture and remove. So we're left with the negative 3x there, which makes sense. We had negative 9x to start with and 6 positive, whoops, I forgot to screenshot, 6 positive x's, and so we are left with the 3 negative ones. So go ahead and add that. And it shows then with our area model that we do in fact get 6x squared minus 3x minus 9. And with the last one, we'll do the same thing. We'll multiply first algebraically. So we're going to do x times negative 3x, which will give us negative 3x squared. And then we'll take x times 5, which is a positive 5x. And then 2 times negative 3, which is a negative 6x. And 2 times 5, which is a positive 10. So combining our like terms here, we have negative 3x squared minus x, minus 1x, because positive 5 and negative 6 give you a negative 1, and then plus 10. So that's what we can expect. Hopefully we get that when we do it with our algebra tiles and show that visual area model there. So let's go to algebra tiles to do x plus 2 times negative 3x plus 5, right? Plus 5. Yeah. So here's x plus 2. And then we're going to do negative 3x plus 5. So we'll remove all of these. I just want to double check. Yeah. Okay. So when we multiply an x times a negative x, we'll get a negative x squared. So there's going to be 3 of those, 3 negative x squareds. And when we multiply these negative x's times positive 1's, we're going to get negative x's, because a negative times a negative, or times a positive, is a negative. So these are all negatives. So it's negative 3x's times positive 2. Let's see. So then the next one, we want to do x times these positives. So these are all positive x terms, and there's 5 of them. Wasn't it 5? Yeah, I think so. And then we need to do the unit tiles. So they're all positive also. So we have 2 along the vertical and 5 along the horizontal, so we should get about 10 of them here. They're all going to be positive, like I said, because the sides are the same. So there's that. And then we do have some 0 pairs to get rid of. We have positive 5x's, and there's 5 negative x tiles also. So those combine to give us zeros. So we can get rid of those. And we're left with negative 3x squared minus x plus 10. You want to screenshot that. Bring it over to Notability. And we do get negative 3x minus negative 3x squared minus x plus 10. So that's it. I think hopefully this was helpful, and thank you.